FM 94, The Dark. JC hanging out with you here. And yes, you hear some kids in the background. That's because we're talking, well, we're not talking kids right now, but we're talking with the lead singer of 3 Years Hollow, that being Jose Urquiza. And the reason why there's kids in the background is because Jose is at home right now. A little break with the band as they had a tour earlier on. They got a tour coming up in just a moment. And how things going, by the way, at home today for you, Jose?
Things are going great, man. Like you said, just hanging out with the kids. They got one trying to play Pictionary Man by herself, and then a 5-month-old on my lap looking for anything to grab onto.
Hey, that's okay, and that's the one thing that's cool because you're a normal guy. When people think, oh, you're in a band and that, people think a whole bunch of different stuff. But you're just an average guy playing in a band, right? And you got a family.
Yeah, man. It started off 12 years ago, and the family came, along the route of us trying to, turn the band into something successful. And this is what I do when I'm not on the road, just hanging out with the kids or in the recording studio half of the time.
Let's talk about the history of the band. You mentioned 12 years ago. How did the band all come about?
Basically, I was a young kid. I was 17, and I wanted to start a band. I was listening to bands like Creed and Seven Dust. Those were the two big rock bands that I was listening to at the time. And I put out an ad in a local music shop for a guitar player, and Tony Reeves, our current lead guitarist, came calling. And over the next 6 years, we basically just played shows, recorded our first record, tried to find the right combination of guys for the group, and then in about 2007, we finally found the right combination, and we've been with that group since then. So this group together, 3 Years Hollow, has been together for about 6-7 years. But myself and Tony have been working at this for about 12-13.
And Jose, you guys are actually based out of Quad Cities area between Iowa and Illinois, and you're talking to me on the Illinois side today. Yeah,
everything's pretty much, like 15-20 minutes away from each other. So, the little suburbs of the Quad Cities basically is where I'm sitting today.
Hey, that's cool, because actually, we're on the Mississippi River, you're on the Mississippi River. We're literally about a quarter of a mile away from the Mississippi River. So we have something in common. We're near the Mississippi.
Yeah, exactly. I've lived my life on that river. A lot of boating, a lot of fishing, everything.
I was actually talking last week. I'm trying to remember. It was the lead singer for Maiden Waves. I was talking to him, and he was talking, and I said, why don't you guys do because he's down in St. Louis, is where that band's out of. And I said, we could do some kind of like river tour. You start on the beginning of one end of the Mississippi, and you cruise all the way down to the other end, and you make stops at these local establishments and have a lot of fun. Wouldn't that be kind of a cool deal?
It's such a good idea, man. I've never even heard anybody say that before, but when you think about it, especially us living here, there's all kinds of really cool clubs and venues and bars and anything, right along the river all the way down. So it's actually a great idea.
Well, you know what? You can steal my idea. I got no problem with it. Just let me hang out with you every once in a while, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Okay, let's talk about the little bit more about the band 3 Years Hollow. The name. How did the name 3 Years Hollow come about?
I always tell everybody that it's not very interesting, and then when I tell them, they seem to be more, they seem to think it is interesting, but to me, it's kind of like, we were a band called Hollow. We were just Hollow for a while, and we started getting some independent label interest, and then realized that there was another band already out there by that name, so we had to change it. And we already had quite a good, local fan base because we had been Hollow on a local level since 2004, and this is about 2008, or 2007, I'm sorry. And we're like, well, how can we keep that and, build off of it? And we had been Hollow for 3 years, so we just became 3 Years Hollow.
Very cool. I think it is kind of a cool story. We're talking with Jose from 3 Years Hollow, and you guys are actually on tour, or took a little break right now, but you're going to be getting back on the road with Saving Abel and also Blacklight District, which I've actually had a chance to talk with both Saving Abel and Blacklight District here in the last few months. And in fact, I actually had the guys from Blacklight District come in studio and do some acoustical stuff. What's it like on the road with those guys? How has it been?
We love being on the road with both of these groups. Actually, we've had some past experience being on the road with them. We went on our very first acoustic tour last year with both Blacklight District. So we love those guys. You know, Saving Abel definitely has hooked us up. The guys are super cool. They've been through it all. So, you know, you're getting to sit on the tour bus late at night and just talking to Eric, the bass player, you know, about everything they've seen and what, you know, they can help us out with our future. So, and then us in Blacklight District, we're both kind of trying to do the same exact thing. We're both independent bands that, you know, have started out and trying to do this on our own, basically. And, you know, we finally got a record deal, and I think they're looking at signing one soon, too. So it's just cool to be out with both of those bands at this time.
Does it help you guys out, definitely, having a band like Saving Abel out there with you to really show you the ropes? And also I got to believe that Saving Abel is a help to draw people to the venue, but then obviously when they hear your music and also Blacklight District, then they fall in love with you guys too. Yeah,
for sure. You know, Saving Abel is doing amazing right now. They're selling out all of these shows. And it's so cool to see, but, you know, it's also cool when you get done and people that have never heard you before will come up and tell you, you know, I've never heard of you guys before, but you guys definitely have a new fan. You guys put on an amazing show, and that's ultimately why we're out here trying to do this.
Well, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit for the reason those places are being sold out, because I think 3 Years Hollow and also Blacklight District have a lot to do with the reason why that's being sold out.
That may be possible. It's hard to say. Really, our first national tour, our second national tour. So, but we've had some really cool support on Octane and a lot of radio stations across the country, like yourself. So, we're just starting to see it, I guess I would say.
Well, I tell you what, I really dig you guys. We've played Chemical Ride on here. We've played Remember on here. Now you got a new song called Hungry, which you have a new album actually coming out here. If I'm not mistaken, it's coming out next week called The Cracks. Am I correct on that?
Yep, comes out February 11th. It's called The Cracks, and this is kind of the culmination of the last 3-4 years of our band, you know, finally here. So it is a huge day for us.
What does that mean for you guys? How big is that to realize that in less than a week here, you have an album coming out nationwide?
Man, you know, like, it seems kind of crazy because we've had the last 6 months to kind of think about it. But when we got together in 2012, we put out our EP, and it was all with the goal of having this happen, you know, put out a 6-song EP, give the fans that have been supporting us for so long some new music, and then shop it around and try to get a record deal so that we can put out a full record. And we could not be any happier with the record label we signed with, the team they have, you know. Everything just seems like it's going perfect, and it's just obviously a dream, you know.
You mentioned the team, and it is important to have, you know, obviously, and this is kind of, I guess, a two-part question, but it's one thing to be able to write your own stuff and do your own stuff and kind of be an independent band, but you also need that record label out there to help you get to that next push, to get you to the next level, to really get you exposed. Maybe not so much for the music itself lyrically, but I think for the exposure. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, man. We could not have done any of this without signing that deal. You know, we did a, you know, an Octane push by ourselves, but we were spending so much money, and truth is, we were just guessing. You know, we didn't really know what to do or how to do it. So having this, we can already see there's such a major difference in the organization and getting the word about our band and our music out there. You know, it's already taking off, so to speak.
We're talking with Jose, the lead singer of the band 3 Years Hollow. They're out of the Quad Cities, so a Midwestern band. We like that. That's a cool thing, since we're up here in the upper Midwest. How about the singing, I guess the songwriting, all that stuff? Obviously, you do the singing. Do you do the songwriting too? And if you do, or whoever does the songwriting, where does some of that inspiration come from to write the songs that you do?
Yeah, the songs come from myself and Tony most of the time. Either I'll have a song. I spend a lot of my time in front of my computer. That's kind of where, in my little studio at home, just writing riffs or writing songs or vocal ideas, and I'll take them to Tony, and Tony will kind of help me place some music behind it, building on what I already have, or vice versa. He'll have a song and he'll bring it to me, and then I'll finish it vocally. But there's something special about our group. Me and Tony write our songs up to a certain point. And then we take them to the rest of the guys, and we're kind of like, here you go. And everybody is so good at what they do, they kind of turn it into the 3 Years Hollow song much better than it would have been if it would have been just me or Tony's head, So there's really kind of a thing about all five of us coming together that makes us have, I guess, our signature sound. The inspiration always comes from something real to me. I've always found it hard to write about things that I've never experienced on my own, which I haven't really experienced a lot, so hopefully, the further we go and the more albums we have, I'll be continuing to expand on all the experiences that I've been a part of.
How about a youngster growing up? What kind of music did you listen to that influenced you?
Starting from when I was really little, my dad just used to have music blaring across the house. Stuff like Meatloaf and Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Steppenwolf, Foreigner, Journey, a lot of those bands. But then as I was younger, I got into a lot of melodic. I got into different, almost like the pop side, stuff like Boyz II Men and Michael Jackson is where I really learned how to sing, sing. And then a lot of melody and harmony was brought about in those days. And then when I was about 11, 12 years old, I got introduced to Creed and Seven Dust, and that's when my whole life changed. My real, rock influences are Tool, Maynard from Tool, Incubus, System of a Down, Seven Dust, like I said, Creed. Those types of bands are what led me here.
Isn't it crazy? Maynard's turning 50 this year, I think.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy.
I think he's having a big bash out in L.A., too. I mean, maybe you'll be able to get out there, huh?
I wish. The day I get to meet Maynard, that's like, man, that dude has no idea how much he's influenced me.
Well, this is my next question. That's what it leads up to. Okay, 3 Years Hollow is on a triple bill. Who are the other two bands that you would love to play with? It doesn't have, obviously, the current bands you're playing with, I'm sure you're enjoying that, but two bands that it would be just awesome that you could have the stage with, alive or dead even. Who would those be?
Oh, wow. I'm going to say Seven Dust, just because I love those guys to death, and it's genuine. They really have been my favorite band for my whole life, and I've seen them more in concert than anyone else. So I'm going to go with Seven Dust, and I'm going to go with a crazy off-the-wall one, and I'm going to go with Incubus. Is another big band that has influenced me a lot. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. We're talking with Jose from 3 Years Hollow. We're going to get to their new song, Hungry, here in just a moment, but let's talk about The Cracks. It's coming out next week. How can people find out more information about the band 3 Years Hollow?
How can they find out more?
Yep, how can they find out more about you guys?
Basically our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, those places are, we spend our lives on there. We're trying to show as much as possible of our personal lives and just our journey. So, you can kind of find out a lot about the guys in the band just by following us on those three things. But otherwise, come out to a show. We are always hanging around our merch booth for hours, during the show. We want to talk to everybody, and we want to let them know our story. So those are pretty much the best ways.
And, of course, Jose, you guys are coming up this way on that tour swing with Saving Abel and also with Blacklight District. I believe you'll be in Rochester, which is about 4 hours south of us here on the 15th. And then the 16th, you'll be about 2.5 hours to the north and west of us in Fargo. Have you guys played much in Minnesota before?
Not really. I think this is really our first couple times. If we have one other time, I can't even remember it.
You can't remember it. It was that awesome, huh?
Exactly.
Well, that's cool, and it should be a lot of fun. And obviously, you guys, as you get bigger and bigger, obviously you're going to have more and more tours. I'm assuming after this tour is done, you're hoping to have some more tours scheduled for 2014.
Yeah, definitely. Our plan is to tour and support this album for as long as it'll take us. So as soon as the album comes out, I guess we'll kind of see how things are going, and hopefully we'll have some tours.
All right, Jose, a lot of fun talking with you. Wish you the best of luck with the new album coming out next week. And, of course, hopefully it'll blow up and be a great thing for you guys.
I hope so, too, man. Thank you very much for having me.
Once again, that is the lead singer of the band 3 Years Hollow. That is Jose Urquiza, and Jose has got a new song, and the band 3 Years Hollow has a new song. It's called Hungry. It's off that new album, The Cracks, which comes out next Tuesday. You want to hear it right now, Central Minnesota? You got it. It's on the Dark at FM 94.